one and all, to the March 4th, 2021 Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission meeting. I think we've been online. Is this a year yet? It's coming up soon.
In next meeting will be a year.
See that? And this ponytail, I stopped cutting my hair at the last HDC meeting, and now the ponytail's like 7 inches long. Sorry, got sidetracked there. I'm calling the meeting to order. We have 5 new public hearings this evening, and we'll do some additional business at the end of the meeting. So let me just read my little speech here. Actually, let me roll call. I'll roll call at the end. So in accordance with the Commonwealth of Mass Executive Order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law, we're conducting the meeting online. And to ensure public access to the deliberations, the public may access the call through both telephone and video conference. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function or wave at us. If you're calling in, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host, Heather, we have 2 Heathers here. Our fabulous staff support will mute microphones of those not speaking and may need to turn on video screens if our bandwidth is challenged. But if you could just make sure you're muted just in case we can't do that. Saves on the background noise. At the end of the presentation, I'll call on each commissioner for comments, and then we'll open the meeting for public comment. Once there is no more public comment, I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue, approve with conditions, or disapprove. I'll get a second, and we'll conduct a roll call vote. And once we've acted, the petitioner is free to go. So let me do a quick roll call of commissioners present, if I might. I'm just going to go around and ask you to, I guess, raise your hand. Abigail.
Present.
Here. Dennis Fiore is here. Louis.
Present.
Sorry. Nia. Oh, Nia's just arrived. I think Nia's arriving. Kate.
Here, present.
Thank you. And I think Nia, you're the last one. As you arrive, you're present, and I'm present as well. So voting members tonight will be, beside me, Luis, Nia, and I think, why don't we go with Abby and Dennis? Yes? Kate, do you mind being left out?
It's okay.
Okay. So there are 5 voting members. How's that? All right. Well, unless there's any reason to slow down, I'm going to say we go ahead and get started. Again, welcome everyone. Our first public hearing this evening is 11 Main Street. This is Richard Berg to replace some existing signage. And is Richard on here or on?
Richard is not coming. Buck Dutton is supposed to be here for the meeting.
Okay, and this is the Colwell Banker sign that we asked for some modifications to, and I see. So shall we punt for a moment? And
there's a raised hand.
Pardon?
There's a raised hand by a phone number. They have to unmute themselves.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay. I was just letting you know this is Buck. I am here. For Richard.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So what we you can't see our screen though.
No, but I'm pretty familiar with if it's the stuff we sent over, I'm familiar with it all the material.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. So we're just going to put it up on the screen. Okay. Could you walk us through this is a revised application, correct? So we're looking at, this is the Colwell Banker sign.
Right here, this is a new application. The William Ravies is we're doing.
Oh, right. Thank you. Sorry. My bad. All right, so if you wouldn't mind just walking us through the application, we'd appreciate it.
Do they have the whole entire application or the scope of work? Or
I think the visuals, just so we're looking at the different
Okay,
pictures.
yeah. So with the not looking at it right now, but I know there's two signs. There's the front wall sign or wall sign, and it's the same size as the existing sign. They're just updating the font and the logo in a nationwide program that Coldwell Banker's doing. And I think the key colors are the same. It's a little bit lighter of a blue, I believe, but or a little bit maybe of a more royal blue. But again, it's just really the faceplate replacement. It's a Lexan plastic faceplate that'll go into the frame that's already there.
Gotcha.
And then on the wall or the hanging sign, it is a slightly different shaped sign. This one's a perfect square where the other one was a rectangle. This one's a little bit smaller. Same thing though, it's a double-sided Lexan sign that'll just be hanging above where the existing one is.
All right, seems pretty straightforward. I don't have any initial questions. Let me go around the horn to the commissioners. Would you mind just leaving that up there, Heather? Luis, any comments?
Just a question, what is the material that the new sign is going to be made of?
It's called Lexan. It's very similar to like a plexiglass or an acrylic.
Is this something that's going to be reflective or something that imitates a natural material such as wood?
No, it won't be. I mean, it'll have a slight luster to it, I guess, but it's not at all like reflective. I mean, it's basically like a high density foam plastic material. So when I say like plexiglass, I mean it's fairly rigid, but it does have some flex to it. But it's not clear at all. It's not like a clear piece of material. It's
And
just I guess.
How does it
Go
compare
ahead,
with the current sign?
I believe it's the exact same material.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Luis. Okay, Abigail, any questions, comments?
So I don't have any questions regarding the sizes or the placement. Usually we're looking for lettering that either appears to be raised or carved. That's something that would mimic a more traditional sign. Are these are just vinyl applications to the plastic? So it's entirely flat?
No, it's not. I'm sorry, I probably didn't explain that very well when I said I shouldn't. It's like a high density foam mold. Okay, so it can have the letters can be offset, and they can be be raised an inch, not an inch, but a quarter of an inch, half an inch. So that let me look at let me actually look at the sheets real quick.
Yeah,
You
because
can hold on one
my
second.
concern is like an entirely flat modern sign isn't really in keeping with what we usually recommend in the rest of the Main Street district. So we're
No.
happy with modern materials because wooden signs degrade and they're hard to upkeep. But we just want to. I would request that either the letters extend from the sign or
Sure.
either raised or carved, one or the other.
All right. Let's see here. It is a let's see. Let me look at I think what I sent you is I don't have your screen, but is it the permit book that you're looking at? The one that
So I'm looking right now. I'm looking at the hanging sign, and it says quarter inch thick panel with vinyl graphics applied front and back. So my concern is that that's like an entirely flat appearing sign.
Yeah, that one.
That one
Let's
would
see.
be
That one. I think that would be accurate on that one.
okay. So
that would be a flat.
Yeah, I don't know how other commissioners feel, but my preference would be that it either appears to be raised or carved. However, that can be accomplished. So that's
Okay.
Peter. That's kind of my feedback.
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you, Abby. All right, Nia.
I agree with Abby on the raised lettering issue. I appreciate that this is, if we can go back, Heather, possibly to the wall sign. I understand that you're actually just going to put new letters on the existing sign. The only comment I have.
No,
excuse me?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but no, that's not what we're doing. There's a faceplate that's there. Okay. That's inside of an aluminum frame right now.
Yeah.
So there's an aluminum box, and then there's a plate on top of it that we're going to slide that plate out and slide a whole new plate in.
Okay. I guess I just had a wish, which is obviously not applicable here. The existing sign is very large relative to the other signs on the street. At 22 inches high, it is quite large, and I see with the new design, the letters with the smaller font or different font and the different writing does not extend as far. And I was just hoping that you could actually reduce the size of the actual sign. But if it's simply you're slipping a new plate in, that is probably not an option. So my comments would be the same as Abby's. I would like to see some sort of raised something.
On the hanging.
Okay.
Yes, and is that not the on the wall sign? Did you say this was raised?
Yes, that has a three-dimensional. It's the white parts are raised up off of the blue.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry.
So you're saying you'd like to see the same effect on the hanging
Yes.
sign? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. Sure.
Thank you, Nia. Dennis. Oh, you have to unmute yourself, though.
Sorry about that. I agree with Abby. I think the raised lettering is good. I have to say, as a comment, I find it, I don't know, arrogant is the right word, but CB on the sign, people are going to know what that is. And particularly when it's a new logo, I find that interesting. I think the old sign told you what was there. That's an aside. I think it's fine. What you're doing is okay with me.
Thank you, Dennis. And Kate, last but not least.
I agree with Abby. We went through this with Lacoste Keene, which is just a couple of doors down, I think, from Main Street when they were looking for a new sign about a year and a half ago. We thought that something needed to be recessed or projected, either the color or the lettering itself. So I think we should apply that here.
All right, thank you, Kate. I had nothing useful to add at this juncture, so any more thoughts from the commission, or can we open this up to public comment? I think we can go ahead and open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment on the application for new signage at 11 Main Street, given what you've just heard us discussing? Looking around, do you see any raised hands? I see what? Nope, no raised hands, no additional raised hands. All right, well then I guess I would look for a motion from the commission, please.
I move that we approve the application of 11 Main Street to replace existing signage, provided that the lettering should be raised and that the appearance of the sign should be similar to what it's already there.
And a second? Someone needs to second. Nia second. All right, all in favor? I'm just going to go around the horn. Abigail?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Dennis? Dennis said aye. Kate?
Just one thing. Luis said that the lettering should be raised. Should it be either one aspect or the other?
The lettering or the logo?
Yeah, the lettering or the blue. The blue or the white, basically.
Let's say that all lettering should be raised.
Well, I don't mean the logo, I mean like.
All logos and lettering all elements should be raised.
The white, so the white
White.
would be what would be elevated unless y'all want something different. The standard would be anything white on there would be the lifted up off the blue.
Okay, that's what I want to know. All right, thanks. Yes, aye.
And I as well. That was the strangest motion we've ever made. All right, so you are good to go. And if you would make those modifications, I think Heather, how do we do that? Do we ask for a submission for record kind of thing?
Yeah, if they can just resubmit like the spec sheets with the change on the blade sign.
Okay, is that clear enough?
Okay. Yeah, so just clarify that the white portion of the hanging sign is raised, and then resubmit that to Heather.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, great. Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, you are free.
Have a good one.
All right, and our next victim is my friend Richard Warren. Richard has a project at 500 Lexington Road to replace an exterior staircase. Hi, Richard. But you're muted. Oh, I still can't hear you.
How's that?
There you are. Is this
Nice to
Ward's
see you,
house?
Peter. Pardon me?
Whose house is this?
Sarah and Ward Zimmerman.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's Ward. Hi, Ward. All right.
Hello, nice to see you all again.
Nice to see you all. I'm glad you hired Richard. Could we look at that application, Heather, if you would? And then Richard, would you mind just walking us through it real quick?
Sure. This is a picture of the existing before we've replaced the windows and siding and trim. The wooden stair was rotting and there was no landing. It was sort of dangerous and it was in the way of the work. So we took it down, not realizing that that was required by HDC to review. Anyway, what you can see now is that the stair, there's a small landing and the stair comes away from the house. And then we stopped once we found out we needed the HDC review. So there'll be railings and then we'll finish up, the work on the screen porch.
Well, they're not as charmingly dangerous as the existing ones.
Well, it is without the railing.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so looks pretty straightforward. It just turns 90 degrees. Looks like it's
And the landing is new. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
it's the railings, it's colonial look on the railings.
Mhm. Just painted to match. Anything in the, is there anything else in the application we need to look at? I'm just looking at it online here.
No, that's it.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. That's a relatively minor change. Let me go around and see if the commission has any comments. Luis?
I don't have any comments at all.
Dennis? Thank you, Luis.
I don't have any comments. Can we actually see this?
You mean from the public way?
Yeah, it doesn't, from the graph you had there, it seems it's at the back of the house. Is there a public way? in the
You
back?
cannot see it at all from this street. Not at all.
Oh, okay. Well, that ends that discussion.
There's town-owned land behind it, so technically that counts.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
There's
That
a
it's a
creek
public
at
way?
the far back of the property, and I think that's considered public land.
You
but-
need to
but
go
there's
hiking
no-
more, Dennis.
Yeah, not over there. Sorry.
Why not? It's a nice place.
I just haven't gotten there.
All right.
I don't have any questions. It looks fine.
Okay, thank you. Abby, any questions?
No questions.
Nia?
No questions.
Melinda, hello.
Hello there. Sorry I'm late. I had trouble getting on. I don't know why.
Where are you?
Hawaii.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
I hate
Life
you.
is so tough in Concord,
All right, all right. Any questions on this one, Melinda?
No, because I didn't get on early enough. Sorry.
Okay, Kate, any thoughts?
No, thank you for
Okay.
stopping and getting the.
What's that?
I said I was just thanking them for stopping when they found out they were supposed to.
Uh-huh.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Richard, I appreciate it, and Ward. All right, any public comment on this application for the revised stair at 500 Lexington Road? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion from the commission.
I move that we approve the application for 500 Lexington Road to replace an exterior staircase as submitted.
Second?
Second, all in favor, Abby,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Melinda,
Sorry, aye.
oh, I'm sorry, were you distracted by the sea breeze?
No, I'm trying to pull up the agenda on another computer, but anyway.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Nia,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Ward, for coming in.
Always a
Go for
pleasure.
it, man. All right,
Thank
we'll
you.
hope to see you soon.
All right, take care.
All right, take care.
Ciao.
All right, folks. Well, Melinda, welcome, and I hope you're resting for the rest of us out there.
It was pretty nice. I
Um,
can't complain.
All right, next is the Concord Free Library Corporation, and I think Concord Academy at the same time, or is it just the library? And this is to look at temporary parking at the in the Main Street district for the library construction. But I think, Jeff, are you here to walk us through?
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Peter. I'm Jeff Adams and chair of the library building project. And I'm joined by project architect Michael Bellafuel. But I should note that Johnson Roberts Architects were not involved in the design of the temporary parking area at Concord Academy. We are here tonight to ask for an extension for the temporary parking area at 185 and 207 Main Street. This temporary parking area for construction workers was approved for a recent building project on the Concord Academy campus. As we were developing the plans for the addition and renovations at the Concord Library, we understood that contractor parking on Main Street or at the Stowe Street parking lot would impact public parking. And Concord Academy graciously offered to allow their temporary parking area to be used for the community library project. Frankly, I don't know how we'd run the library project without the partnership with Concord Academy. The intention is to restore the temporary parking area to lawn as previously approved by the HDC in the early spring of 2022 after the library project has been completed.
And no other changes, Jeff, correct? This is the same.
No other
layout?
changes. We just unfortunately weren't aware that the permit was expiring. Neither Concord Academy or I had checked those details. So the exact same restoration will happen. No, we're not requesting any changes.
And are you aware of any, are there any objections or anything from neighbors, or these are between two Concord Academy buildings, correct?
Yeah, thank you for asking. We actually did receive a call that I appreciated from a neighbor on Middle Street. And she mentioned that some of the green fabric on the fencing is sort of unraveling and that we should check the parking area for trash. So we did both of those things and we'll be more diligent in maintaining it.
All right, I have no other
Peter?
comments. Yes, Dennis.
Before we go any further, I sit on a library trustees committee, so I'm abstaining myself from this discussion.
Okay, and Abby, do you also need to?
Yeah, since I'm on the building committee for the library project, I'm gonna recuse myself as well.
All right, well, let me just make sure. Melinda, thank God you arrived, because now we have a quorum again. So I think I'm going to invite Melinda and Kate to vote on this one. So Nia, Luis, Melinda, Kate, and I.
All right, wait.
Oh,
Peter,
yes.
I'm a Concord Academy parent. Does that make a difference? I don't think.
No.
Okay.
No,
There
no.
for the record. I don't think it should, but there.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's go around and just have comments. Melinda, I'll start with you. Any thoughts, comments?
No, I think it's fine.
All right, thank you. Nia?
I have no problem with extending this whatsoever. My only thing is it might be prudent, given that it's to be, cleaned up and reseeded and whatever at the end. Obviously, the projected to end in December of 21. Perhaps we might put a date on in 22, you know, to have it cleaned up by, let's say, May 15th. I find that in these projects that the landscaping is the last thing to happen, and just so that we don't end up having it done in July. That's just a suggestion.
Thank you, Nia. We'd be amenable to that. It's a good idea.
Okay. Thank you, Nia. Unobjectionable suggestion. Kate?
No problems. I agree with Melinda and also with Nia's amendment that we actually kind of put a date on when it gets landscaped.
And Luis?
I agree with the application, and I support Nia's position, and I propose that the date that the area should be restored be March 15, 2022.
I think that's unreasonable. I think that's too early to reseed.
Yeah, the grass won't take.
You know, especially with, you get a winter like this, they'll be lucky to be able to do it in April. So, you know, probably
June
May
15th?
May 1st, May 15th is probably reasonable.
May 15th?
May 15th, okay. All right, and I have no other commissioners to hear from, so I'm going to open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment on the parking, proposed parking, temporary parking, that is, for the library at 185 and 207 Main Street? And I'm looking for hands or people waving at us. And I see none. Heather, do you see anybody? I don't see anybody. All right, seeing no further comment, I'd look for a motion from the commission.
I move that we approve the application for 185 and 207 Main Street for temporary construction parking, with the understanding that the site will be returned to its former glory no later than May 15, 2022. And may I add to this as well? We haven't discussed it, so that the fencing be maintained. You know, so that it isn't end up being floppy green stuff and the fencing falling over.
Is that okay, Jeff?
Is that all right?
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Sorry to add that in at the 11th hour.
That's all right.
That's
Could I get it? Could I get a second there from someone? I need
I'll
a second
second.
from. Thank you, Melinda. All in favor? I'm just going to go around. Luis,
Aye.
Kate, Melinda, Kate
Aye.
said aye. Nia,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So you are approved. Thank you, Jeff. And everybody
Thank
else
you,
can
everyone.
come back into the meeting now, but good luck, and we'll look forward to see more progress over there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. All right. Moving right along. So Abby, who was voting before? I can't remember. Abby and Dennis.
Dennis and Abby, yeah.
So I have to unpromote Kate and Melinda. Sorry about that. You're demoted.
No, you cannot unpromote Melinda.
Yeah, you can't demote.
Oh, right. Sorry. I've got to redo this. All right. So the voting members are me, Luis, Nia, Melinda, and Dennis.
Got it.
Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Our next discussion, 85 Main Street. This is Archer Signs, and this is replacing existing signage. And Brian is here from Archer Signs. And would you mind putting the application up there, if you would, Heather? Oh, wait, there are two pieces. There's the application and then the specs. Okay. And this is a new application. We looked at this a couple weeks ago, correct? And had a bunch of comments. So this is a new application. So Brian, do you mind walking us through the application?
Sure. It's basically we're just changing what's there. And similar to Coldwell Banker, the blue is flat and the white is all raised. So there's only one light on each side for the blade sign, which is what's there now. And that's it.
All right. The only comment I would have before we get started is the lettering on the flat sign looks a little big for the sign. Like it's a little too close to the, just ever so close to the edge. Do you see what I'm saying, Brian? It's like the font is like you get to shrink by like 5%. Is that easy to do? Or is it kind of set?
Sure.
Set. Well, why don't we see
No.
what other folks say? But that's really, it's the only thing. It's like a figure ground thing. I'm reading this like weird, you know, like dark spots or something, which may not be the case in reality.
Well,
Anyway,
it's a 9-inch letter. It's a 9-inch letter on a 12-inch background. So you have 1.5 inches, you know, on top and bottom, which, you know, is ample.
Okay, it may be the way the graphic is reading. All right, let me see if other folks have comments. Luis.
I have no comments.
Nia.
I just wanted to ask whether these presumably are new lights and how they compare in size to the existing lights.
I don't know what size the existing lights are, but these are true to scale, so.
Okay, and what about wattage? I think they take up to 120. What were you planning on using?
They usually are LED bulbs. We can get whatever temperature you want, but typically they're, I think they're 6,000 Kelvin or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, we require 3,000 or less.
Okay.
Is that still the case, Peter, with signage?
I think, well, it's a good question. Signage might be a little
Because
you were talking about the wattage though. You're talking about the brightness, not the
both
color.
the lumens and the Kelvin.
Okay.
So you don't get a really glaring white light.
Yes. Abby may have some specific.
I'm sure Abby will weigh in.
I think you're right. I think it's a 3,000 limit.
Yeah.
Let me pull them up now. Let me pull up the.
I think that's available, Brian. Those are. I mean, if it's
No,
LED,
I think that's available. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah. Okay. And they're photocell motion sensor compatible. These are going to be switched on and off manually? Probably.
More than likely. Yeah, I'm not sure how they plan to control it. We don't install the controls. And I'm not sure how the existing ones are controlled. We're going to put it on the same circuit.
Gotcha. Okay.
I also agree with Peter's comment that the letters appear to be a little bit crammed on the sign, possibly needing a little bit more space on the wall side, not the blade side.
Thank you, Nia. Melinda.
So I agree with you. Could you put the front of the building's picture up again? Just to me, that lettering looks, I wish it was a little more like the D2 Nails and Spa sign in terms of the size of the letters. But if you can't, it doesn't match the blade sign. You've got William in much smaller letters than the Ravis. I realize that maybe that would look funny, but I feel like that's too large. I just do.
Lettering.
Well, I'm not sure if you can zoom into D Nails and Spa, but it looks like the D is as close to the top edge of the sign as the W is, but I can't really tell.
I think it's because, you know what it is? It's because your font, I mean, I know this is probably the wrong way to say it. So yours is in bold and theirs is not. So the thickness of the lettering makes it look bigger.
Yeah, it could be.
Looks like the actual sign is bigger, wider.
It's the same size as what's there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Melinda, any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it do something a little different. I'd like to see it a little smaller, and or like they've done, where you cap the 2 first letters of each word and then bring it down a little.
Well, we did. That's the W and the R are bigger than the rest of the letters.
Oh, yeah, I guess they are. It's just, it's minuscule though. Yeah, I know you're looking for consistency on the look at the sign, so I just wish it was a teeny bit smaller. That's all. If you can't do it, you can't do it, but.
Thank you, Melinda. Abigail.
So yes, I looked at the guidelines. It's the equivalent of a 40-watt bulb for each light. And we do recommend a 3000 Kelvin limit. So if the two exterior sign lights can abide by those guidelines.
I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah, that would be great. So that will be part of the approval. I understand what people are saying about the signage, but that matches the existing size of the sign on the wall. Not much we can do about that. And I do think that this sign without the intricate white finials and bracket around it does appear smaller, the hanging sign. So I think that's an improvement. So although I would like to see them, I always want to see signage smaller. I think I would approve it as submitted.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Dennis.
I think it's fine. I have no problems. Just a quick question. When you were talking about the signage overall, you said there were raised letters on the wall sign, and maybe I didn't hear. Are they also raised letters on the blade sign?
Yes.
Okay. That was my only question. I think it's fine.
Thank you, Dennis. And Kate, any thoughts?
Hello, there I am. Hi.
Hi.
I don't have a huge problem with it. Again, I wish the letters were a little smaller, just a little.
All right.
Anyone care to throw a number at the word little? I've got a whole bunch of littles.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's not a font size there, is there?
9 inch.
No.
9
inch.
That the W is 9 inch.
If I may suggest that we decrease the size of the font by 5%, that would give you a font of 8.5 inches.
8.5 inch.
Yep.
Okay.
8.5 inches is a half inch is 5% on 9.
Well, it's 0.45, but we round it up unless
I
you
don't
want
think
to
a
do
half inch is going to
8.55.
make a visual difference.
I don't think so either. I think
It will have a visual difference.
Yeah, I actually do think a half inch all around would be enough. It's just a little bit less.
You're already going to have 1.5 inches on the top of the W and the bottom, and you're going to have substantially more above the I, the LL, etc.
Right. So just a little bit more would be perfect. So I think,
Okay.
how does 8.5 inches?
Decreasing the font from 9 to 0.5 actually gives you a 0.25 above the W, which is just the right amount that I believe it's necessary, because actually what it's driving your vision there, it's the W and the R. That's what makes the thing be very cramped.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, 8.5 inch it is. We'll see what that looks like.
All right. Let me see if I can now open this up to public comment. Is there any public comment on the application for signage at 85 Main Street? And there's not much public left to comment. No offense, public. All right, I don't see any questions. May I have a motion from the commission, please?
I move that we approve the application for 85 Main Street to replace the existing signage with the understanding that on the wall sign, the letters will be reduced to 8.5 inches. That's the capital letters of W and R, and the rest of the letters reduced accordingly. And on the blade sign, the lights to have bulbs of equivalent 40 watts and a Kelvin no higher than 3000.
All right, could I get a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you. And all in favor, I'm just going to go around. Abigail?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
And I'm An aye as well. So Brian, thank you. You are approved as noted, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Night.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, we have another signage application at 15 Monument Street. This is the Adams and Beasley Associates to put up some temporary construction signage. You see, hang on a sec. All right, and Jeff Adams is here. Oh no, Eric Adams is here. There are two Adams.
I'm actually going to pass this to Allison Cutler, who's driving this for our team. Thank you.
Hello, Allison. Welcome.
Hi.
Would you mind walking us through the application? Heather, can you put that up for us, please? All right. All right. Let us have it.
All right. So we just in the last month started the renovation at 15 Monument Street. And we're applying to install a temporary construction sign. We've handed in 3 different options to discuss. Our preference would be option number 1, which is our company logo and our standard construction sign that is in a mahogany frame and would be mounted in the existing landscaping on the east side of the building. Option number 2 would be a hanging sign from the existing porch. Similar logo and construction information. And then the third option is mounted to the building. And again, our logo. So I wanted to bring up 3 options for discussion, but we typically go with option number 1 for all of our projects.
And Allison, tell us how long would this signage be up?
Our schedule has us here for the next year. So we plan to hand it over in February 2022.
All right. And I suppose, I take it you've reviewed this with the building owner?
Yes.
The different
Yes.
options. Did they have a preference? Do they have a preference?
They did not tell me a preference. They were happy to leave that to us.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a nice presentation. 3 interesting options. Let me see what the commission thinks. Abigail, I'll let you go first.
So I think option 1 is just, it's huge. It's really quite large and quite prominent. And if it was a short-term thing, if it was going to be there for a month or 2, I might be able to be swayed on it. But if it's really going to be there for a year, my preference would be the sign attached to the building, not the hanging sign, but the one flat on the building. The good news is everyone's super, super curious about what's going on. I get asked about this building, an HDC member, more than anything else. So people are going to look at your sign no matter where it is, because they're going to poke around and look in the windows.
They
So
do quite a bit.
yeah, I'm not worried that people aren't going to see it if it's up against the building. I still think on the building it's really, really big. Just because it's looking at next to the window, it looks huge. But I don't have an objection to it in a temporary capacity on the building. I would have an objection to it on the
sidewalk.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's too big, and it looks, it's so nicely done. It looks permanent, and I feel like
thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna get calls being like, "That's a really big sign. Why did you guys approve that?" And I don't want to have the Heathers have to explain to people that it's temporary for the next.
That makes sense.
That's my feedback.
Thank you, Abby. Melinda.
I'm definitely in favor of option number 2. I think that would be the best one.
Okay, I can see we're gonna have to do a little straw poll at the end. Let's go around at least once. Nia.
First, I wanted to thank the applicant for coming forward with an application. I think most people just put up their sign and that's all there is to it. So I really appreciate the fact that you've taken the trouble to come before the commission with a formal application. I am in agreement with Abby that the sidewalk sign I would not be in favor of. I could live with either of the other 2. My preference would be door number 2.
Door number 2, thank you.
Because to me, it visually appears smaller.
All right, thank you. Luis.
I think that option number 1 is too intrusive on the sidewalk. I think that option number 3 diminishes the charm that this house actually has, and that should be preserved even if it is temporary. So I go for option number 2.
All right, and Dennis.
I go for option number 3, but I wouldn't mind option number 2. I'd like to see option number 3 reduced in scale a bit, if it could be. And I won't be as polite as Abby. What is going on in that building?
The first floor is going to be an art gallery, and then the second floor is private offices.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed from the application that was submitted and approved by the HDC prior. So
yeah,
it's just a change of, we've been fortunate enough to be awarded the project. Yeah.
All right. And Kate, I have not heard from you yet.
Like most of the others, I think number 1 is too big. I prefer number 2, but I'd be fine with number 3 if it were reduced in scale slightly.
I'm not sure if the board, sorry, Peter.
No, go ahead, Eric.
I'm going to lean on Allison here for a second because I know that she's done some very diligent work here in terms of the sizing, and obviously wanting to maintain the size to within the parameters set forth by the Historic Commission. Allison, could you just tell the board, if you have the information, why we arrived at the sizes that we did? In other words, I think it's pretty clear that option 1 is off the table, so we'll just remove that.
Erase that. Yep.
But in terms of the square footage of 2 and 3, and I realize, just for the board's sake, I appreciate that perception is reality. Reality necessarily isn't the whole thing here, so I'm just cognizant of that.
Well, for number 3, this may just be from, it's the same size as a past project sign, so maybe it's economy of reusing an old sign, or at least the design, but it's easily modified and made smaller. It's a little large, definitely compared to the windows. Number 2 is actually, I think it was just to kind of balance the space between the 2 posts. So we're definitely under the maximum square footage, but it was to make sure that our typical lettering and logo was visible, but tasteful, yes. But yeah, I think it's all open if either needed to be adjusted in size.
Okay. Could I ask just to scroll down to option 3 so we can kind of look at that for a second, please? Would the board prefer, and I'm not suggesting a preference here, but would the board prefer an option where if we wanted this one and the board agreed that it was calibrated such that the distance between the top of the head casing to the right of the sign matched, the gap there between the top of the sign and the top of the head casing, which I'm going to estimate right now is about the width of the head casing there. Let's say it's 5 inches, matched the bottom between the bottom of the sill and another 5-inch gap to the bottom of the sign, so that there was, we left the top of the sign as depicted, but the bottom of the sign came up. Let's say it's 5 inches below the bottom of the sill now, so it basically shrunk by, say, somewhere between 8 and 10 inches in height. Would that be preferable to the board?
I think that would be a good scale.
I think I see some nods, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it matched kind of the interior dimension of the window pane where you have the black, like if it matched that.
Thank you, Abby. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be, if that's
Abby's on it.
Yeah. So, and as I said, I don't have a preference between, I don't have a strong preference between 2 and 3. If people really like 2, it's fine with me. If you were to go with option 3, if it shrunk down to that interior dimension, then I think it would be preferable. But
Jeff did the math major version of what you just said. You know,
that's too
I think
complicated.
there was a derivative in there somewhere.
I'm a lawyer. You got to take the numbers out of it.
Sorry. I'm a woodworker.
Both are true. Both are valuable. All right. Well, I think, Eric, that's a great suggestion, actually. I think we would just need to have that resubmitted. I just want to make sure, I think Melinda and Nia, you had preferences for the hanging sign. Would you be okay with this version of the flat sign?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think the other one's much more handsome. Number 2, I love the fact that it comes out a little closer to the street. I personally, from a visual perspective, would look more closely at that than the one that's just jammed up next to the window. I just think it's better looking, but you can, I'm not saying that you can't go with number 3 and make it a little smaller. I just think that aesthetically, the second one's better.
I appreciate that, Melinda. And Peter, I guess just based on your comment, I would prefer to try to come out of this meeting tonight with a approval as opposed to having to resubmit.
Yeah, so we would just ask you to resubmit for record, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Melinda, for that.
Nia, did you want to stick up?
I am perfectly happy with the proposed change to option 3. And I'm perfectly happy with option 2. Maybe this is a case where we give the applicant the choice of option 2 or 3. Obviously option, the one on the wall rescaled, but possibly we could give them the option of either of those options.
Okay, interesting choice. Well, let's wait for the motion, which apparently I think I'm going to ask you to make.
Can I make it?
Well, hang on. We ask for public comment. Are there any other thoughts, commissioners? Kate, you have your hand up. Do you want to have your hand up? You have a little hand on your thing there. Okay.
Peter?
Yes, never mind. That was probably me. Dennis?
I just want to say that I like the compromise on 3. I like it reduced down in size, and I find 2 obtrusive hanging off the front. I'd rather go with 3 reduced in size. My opinion.
Okay. I feel like we're kind of steering in that direction, option 3. And actually, the only thing I was going to raise about option 2 is that it would potentially blow in the wind. That's the only thing I'd be worried about, is that it would, it might get damaged somehow or something. But
we actually planned, Peter, to stabilize it from behind so it wouldn't swing.
Oh, okay, so
it would give the appearance of hanging, but it would be
Gotcha.
kind of rigidly installed.
Okay. I frankly like the idea of giving the applicant the option. I personally think that and the smaller sign on the flat either would be fine. But that's just me. So let's see. I don't see any other frantic wavings from the commission. So why don't we open it up to public comment? Is there any public comment on the application for signage at 15 Monument Street? I'm looking around and I don't see any. Heather, any raised hands? I don't see any raised hands. All right, then I'm going to ask one of you to make a motion since I can't.
I move that we approve the application of 15 Monument Street, allowing the applicant to choose between option 2 or 3 at their discretion. But if they choose option 3, the height of the sign cannot be higher than the frame of the adjacent window. And if they do so, they have to notify the Historic Districts Commission of their choice and the dimensions that they have chosen for the sign.
All right, did that make sense, Eric and Allison?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, can I have a second on that?
Second.
I don't think there's any further discussion. All in favor? I'm going to go around. Melinda?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
Abigail?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Nicely done, folks. Thank you. That's a very nice application. Very, very nice options. And good
Thank
luck
you.
with the construction.
Thank you so much. We'll
Thank
keep you updated.
All right, we'll stop peeking in the windows now that you've told us what's going in there.
We'll go and visit.
Okay.
All right, say hi to
Thank you all.
Patrick for us. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you, thank you. All right, that was our last new application, I believe, correct? Yes. So we are on to other business unless, Heather, is there any seventh inning surprise I don't know about? Nope. All right, so we have 4 items to discuss. Why don't we start with the solar panels at 44 Barrett's Mill Road? We've got a couple of images on the web there. If everybody looked at those, could we put those up, Heather? I don't know if folks have had a chance to look at this. So the applicant is looking to put there are 2 different images. One was for some ground mounted solar, and this is for some roof mounted. You can see the roof array on the bottom there. There's another image, I think, of a ground mounted array. They're not. There it is in the back. So I just want to say very quickly, so the HGC guidelines are, they're just vague enough, but they're relatively consistent that we tend to not like to see solar arrays from the public way. We prefer them to be on the backside or ground mounted. There have been instances, I think, where solar panels have either been approved or just not scrutinized within the district. If they are visible, they have to be very carefully composed. We go through this occasionally. So is the discussion is the applicant here or potential applicant here?
Yes, this is John Igo. I logged in
Hi,
as my
John.
wife, so it says Rudan Igo.
Uh-huh.
But I thought I'd join. And yes, I think we're new to town. We just bought this house roughly 12 months ago, and the current options are options that we've been discussing. And so that's why we came tonight, was to get advice on what the board thinks is reasonable, and also to see if there's any other homes like ours in the district that perhaps have dealt with solar that we could learn from.
Well, thank you. And I really do appreciate you coming to discuss this. This is something I personally, and of course I'm the chair, I have mixed feelings. I'm very passionate about renewable energy. And I also have chaired this commission long enough to know that people disagree about everything from mailboxes to front door colors to you name it. We have had some applications. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is it on River Street? It's right near where I am here. It's off of between Elm and Main. It's the house you can see from the river. They've got some solar on the back of the house. Do you all remember that one? I'm trying to remember the address. So that was an instance where, it's sort of visible from the public way, and what we asked is that the panels be carefully composed. This is a little different, John, because it's right visible from the street. I guess my question to you would be, is this an either or, ground mounted or roof mounted? Or both?
I would say this is it's an either or. And I think that our reaction, Ruthan's and my reaction when we saw the roof mounted proposal from the contractor, was we don't really like how that's going to make the house look. And it's actually changing the whole perception of the house as to why we bought the house. So I went back to the contractor and said, well, okay, could you look at, a ground-based system? And that's where the second proposal came from. Unfortunately, we can't do it on the backside of the house because it doesn't get enough sunlight. So I think we're more inclined to try to work something on the ground and then hide it with appropriate fencing and landscaping from the street, and also, from our house, so our neighbors will see it, in back of us, etc. But right now, this is sort of an idea session for us where, you know, I think you're sharing the same reaction we had, that the forward-facing panels are not really optimal, and really, you know, I think that was our impression as well. But I thought, you know, we thought we would share that with you.
Heather, could you put that image up? John, thank you for that background. I just want to see that image of, there we go. So there's the array in it's sort of the back right up. I'm just pointing this out to the commissioners. And that's, frankly, it's far less visible from the street. I don't think you can see it, but if you're going to go and screen it as well, and I think that can be very tastefully done. Well, anyway, you've heard my opinion. I think you're on the right track. I do think that the roof mounted, while more efficient, is less, let's say, consistent within the district in terms of changing the appearance of the house too much. And I'm glad there's this other option. So I would personally encourage you to pursue that one. But let me ask the commissioners. Luis, what do you think?
You know, just as a comment, that we have consistently rejected any solar panels that are seen from the street. So, but all those proposals have been for solar panels that are on the roofs of structures. This solar panel, it's kind of seen from the street, but actually it's a ground structure, which gives the commission a little bit of leeway for approving it without breaking the consistency from the previous decisions. On the other hand, that leaves two options. One of them is to put them in the roof on the back of the house, which would not be seen from the public way, or would be seen from different public ways, because actually there's some access on the back of that property. Or put them on the ground as proposed. The only problem that I see is that the efficiency of both actually favors, it's so, almost half and half. You see, one area, it's very efficient on the roof, the other one is not as efficient, and the one that it's on the ground, it's in between as well. So my impression is that probably a ground structure would be more appropriate, as long as we make very defined requirements for shielding it from the public way and so forth.
Agreed. And that, thank you, Luis, that would be consistent. The town actually manages quite a large ground-mounted array or two, so it's part of our town's mission toward decarbonization and what have you. Abigail, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have strong objections to the roof-mounted panels, just because of their visibility. You know, you've purchased a beautiful and historically important home. This is a Barrett farmhouse on Barrett's Mill Road. You know, it's a really it's an important home from that perspective. And I agree. I think going solar is fantastic. We just have to do it in the kind of least obtrusive way. And I think that the ground option can probably be managed to be both efficient and effective for you, and unobtrusive in terms of the impact on the district. So that would be my preference, but I'm always open to exploring options.
Thank you, Abby. Melinda.
Well, I think that the ground one is the better solution. There is going to be future technology. Actually, our commission had some Concord Academy students do a presentation a couple years back about how Elon Musk is planning to make solar panels that look like roofing, but it's not there yet. And so I think your ground solution is your better solution, and it's definitely more attractive than the ones on the top of the roof. So that's the way I'd go.
Thank you, Melinda. Nia?
I have nothing further to add. I agree with no solar panels facing the street, and see if we can work with a ground array if it can be screened.
All right, Kate. Thank you, Nia.
I also echo my fellow commissioners.
Oh God, I'm distracted by the baby.
There she is.
Oh, let's see the
Heather.
baby.
There she
Oh,
is.
look at that
Where's the baby?
Sorry,
Yeah.
John, we're gonna get off track
So
for a
cute.
moment. Look at her.
Oh,
Hang on.
Gorgeous.
I gotta switch screens here. Hold on.
Oh,
Look at
Oh,
it.
there she is. Oh my God.
Hello, hello.
Still awake.
darling.
What are you doing awake?
Greetings.
It's
Greetings and
8 o'clock.
salutations.
She is wide awake and ready to party, I hate to tell you.
Exactly.
Oh, so cute.
A little bit
Oh
of
my God,
scratch, perhaps.
sorry, I got way distracted there. Cute babies. Dennis, did you have any thoughts? You're muted though. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Dennis, you get.
Sorry.
There you go.
I
There you go.
agree that, I agree that the ground option is a better one. As an aside, I had a chance to talk with someone who we turned down on solar panels a few years ago, and he thanked me for doing that and thanked the commission for doing it, because he said now that the town is investing heavily in solar and going to do more, I gather, he feels it's very inefficient for every homeowner to have panels on their roofs, and that it makes more sense from a carbon footprint, et cetera, to look to the town to provide electricity through solar rather than every house having it. Now, that may not affect this, but I think it's something we should maybe talk with the town about at some point. So maybe we feel less guilty about having problems with solar panels.
Well, it's an interesting comment, Dennis. We are municipal electric, but people like John could become net energy producers. Frankly, there are all kinds of reasons to do on-site renewables, not least of which is if the grid goes down. But I appreciate your perspective.
But you want to look for battery options for those. But anyway, that's another situation.
Well, I think Melinda hinted you get a couple of Tesla batteries in your basement, and
right,
man, we're all coming over to your place when the grid goes down. Okay, well, John, was this helpful? I think we're sort of leaning away. I think you're doing the same thing, away from the roof-mounted toward a ground-mounted system, and then we'd want it to be appropriately, screened and disguised as best as possible so that it doesn't obtrude, if that's the right word.
This was most helpful, and I want to thank you all for your input and your time. We'll go off now and study the ground-mounted options and determine if there's something there that we can find that is acceptable. And of course, we'll come back and discuss any new options and new proposals when we have more information on that. So thank you very much for your time this evening.
Okay. And I would just say one other quick thing. Dennis brought up a good point. The light plant, we are municipal electric. They have several, they have an electric, a thermal electric heating system rebate. And there are other ideas that might be worth exploring as a new homeowner with the light plant in terms of renewable energy. So just to say that.
Okay, thank you very much.
And thank you for bringing it to us so early. We appreciate it. All right, and we'll see you back with an application probably.
At some point.
At some point, yes.
Thank you.
All right, sir, thank you. All right, folks, we have just a couple other things. We've got the district expansions. I just wanted to say briefly, I presented the 21 and 31 Thoreau Street projects, the little expansion to the Main Street district at Saturday's town meeting preview. It was utterly unobjectionable. I did contact the homeowners beforehand to ask if they would mind delaying a year for us to get our act better together. One said, yeah, I guess so. The other one said, wow, I'm thinking about selling the house. I really would like it protected. So I just said, you know what, let's just keep going. It seems like it's a rather unobjectionable expansion of that district. I do think, however, the commission, we should get our ducks lined up for any further expansions or new districts by next year. So does that make sense on that district? The Jenny Dugan, on the other hand, that beat goes on. We sent the letter out. Heather, Carrie, tell me when it went out. It went out like Monday or something, right?
Yes, it went out Tuesday.
Okay, we had a kind of, I think we've got one response, correct, from, I'm drawing a blank on the attorney's name. He's one of the
Mr.
homeowners.
Meltzer.
Yes. And, you know, frankly, I actually thought it was a really interesting response. Now, he's objecting, just by the way, he doesn't think online processes like this are legal. And it's partly driven by he doesn't want to do Zoom or do things online. So he's just kind of stuck his what's the right word? Sorry, he's put his foot down.
Perspective.
It's been a long day. However, he made a very good point, and I would like to, I think we can share that at some point with the commission. He wrote me personally as the chair, but he raised a very interesting point about, you know, how he loves the deck home, he's taking care of his house. And he said what he's worried about is he's realized over time that when he renovates his house, he can only buy components from certain manufacturers. So there's actually a sole source issue in the deck home neighborhood, where if we tell people they've got to do it a certain way, it is actually potentially an economic hardship, because people could say, well, I can't just go to Concord Lumber and buy a window. I have to go to, you know, deck house window manufacturer X. So I actually thought that was a really important clarification. And he also had an issue with what the district should be called. But in any case, it was actually, I think you should all read the note. It was helpful, and I think it'll help inform our own internal debate about what to do going forward. And now that Heather Gill is back, whenever she can stop paying attention to her baby, she has some very interesting stuff to say about how districts are made and how they're perceived. So I think we should keep talking about this, but nothing's going to happen this year at town meeting. So Heather, did I mischaracterize our discussion from this afternoon? No?
No, I think that was a good summary.
Okay, so I would like to send you all the note from Mr. Meltzer. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing his name. I just thought it was an interesting read. You know, I think Abby and Paul are probably going to be most interested in it from a legal perspective, because he's making, you know, sort of legal maneuver gestures, which I don't know if they'll hold up in court or not, but I actually think his background points are worth considering. So anyway, the letter went out, and Heather, Carey, thank you again for getting that all together. It has in it to FAQs, to all the stuff we've done, for the link to the presentation from November, that the public presentation, it linked to our guidelines. So that beat goes on. I have talked to Matt Anderson Miller. People are still interested in the neighborhood. So I think this may very well come together for next town meeting. Any other thoughts on that from people or questions?
Sounds good.
All right, and then I think we have minutes to approve. I can't remember, just one. Was it the 11:19 minutes?
The 2:18 minutes.
2:18, 11:19 we already approved?
No, you're still waiting on those, and I apologize. That
That's
taking
right. And I know the 2:18 came out like today, right?
This
So
afternoon,
I don't know if people had a chance to read those. I scanned them. I guess I looked to Nia and Luis and Melinda. Our officers are full voting members. Did anyone look at these minutes?
I did look. I had a couple minor, many things, but I don't want to be the only person who's read these.
I read them, but I wasn't in attendance at the meeting, so I'm not much help.
Yeah, and I can't say I've read them yet. Heather, how are people like burning down the barn to see these particular minutes, or can we table it till the next meeting?
You can table it.
Okay,
Good.
Why don't we do that? I would like to read them.
Good.
All right, so that's it for minutes, and that's all I had on my agenda. Is there other business that I'm not aware of?
Peter, I had one piece,
Yeah.
And that is something I discussed with you earlier, which is 235 Main Street. And any of you who've been by that building, notice that it's fully stripped down on the outside and it's all blue at this point. And I guess my question was, and this came up late this afternoon, no time to research it, whether we approved replacement of all the clapboards on the outside. Now, the first thought is that it's a like replacement of that material, but how do we guarantee that? Because it's, there's fine spacing in early clapboards like that. And as I mentioned to Peter, oftentimes they're tapered from smaller at the bottom to higher at the top. I have no idea how old the clapboards were at that house or whether they're going to replace it exactly like they were. So it's mainly a due diligence question, or it's a question of, did we approve it already to replace the siding in the application? I do not remember.
I can say I don't remember. One thing I would say, Dennis, I forgot to mention, is this homeowner would likely be amenable if we had follow-on comments about spacing and what have you. He wants to try to do a historically accurate restoration of that house. I don't remember what the approval said.
I believe that we did approve complete replacement of the clapboards.
In kind, I just don't remember what it said. That's
well, everything he discussed was in kind, because remember, he was going to be so meticulous about everything that it was going to be, absolutely identical. But
right. So I think what this is a follow-up, at least in terms of our process. Heather, or maybe I could write him a note. If we could compose a note to say something has come up in our discussions, can we just be reassured in the following way? So that's what I'd like. That's what I propose we do, Dennis, is we follow up and say, oh, now that we've seen it as a big blue box, which freaks a bunch of us out, let's just remind us again how carefully you're going to replicate what was there or not. Because I actually think I remember him talking about the siding and having it specially milled, and I've got to go back and look at the notes.
Peter, was this the one that didn't his father get his father-in-law was hospitalized with COVID while we were talking to him?
He died.
During
the conversation.
During the conversation.
So I think
That was a hard phone call.
like Leah's, that it was all going to be.
But he's come back since then to modify, and he was very grateful. We wrote some notes and all, but so he's come back and asked. I think they think they did something like they replaced the sills with AZAC instead of wood or something.
We've had a very open communication line with him. I don't think there's anything inappropriate about saying, there's a concern raised about the clapboards. I remember saying that they could be replaced as well. Just say, we'd like some details, on the specifications in terms of spacing and blah, 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 and just ask for clarification. I don't think there's anything inappropriate.
Have they documented what was there that they're replacing?
Yeah, the good news is the house is very heavily photographed before they made any changes. So I think that they have documentation in them, and we can always just say, what's the plan? And if there's an issue with it, we can say, we'd like you to come back in and we'd like to discuss the, particular space.
Is it appropriate that we assume that he's doing something that was not approved? Shouldn't it be better to just say that we can see the changes that have been going on? And we just wish to remind you that the approval was for replacement in kind, so we expect that it will be exactly as it looked before.
I think we just asked for a clarification. I don't think this is a, they've been before us a number of times. They're going to be back before us a number of times. We have a good working relationship with the homeowner. I don't think there's any sense in making it contentious. I just say, we noticed it's all gone. We wanted a clarification.
I don't think we should make it contentious at all. Yeah. But I think if questions have been raised, we ought to at least due diligence. That's all.
Sure. Dennis, can I ask a favor? Could you, just because I love to delegate, could you write me a note that I could then send to the homeowner? Could you draft it? Because you're a much better writer than I am.
I'm not a lawyer, though.
It's okay. That's remember, we're not going to be contentious.
We're not being contentious.
We're being friendly and historically appropriate.
That would help me. Peter, I'll do a touchy-feely note for you.
Well,
I'll add
actually,
the
and
touchy
speed
feely.
is of the essence here because the roof is already going on and you know, you don't want to turn around and half the building has got the clapboards up before we've clarified.
Right.
Can
I will
ask
do
a-
something to get it to you tomorrow, Peter.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask Heather, and Heather, I realize this is just raising a point. How often, like during construction, do you go and check what's going on, or is it just more like if one of us notices when we drive by? Okay. Except for big projects, like we've asked Mark Giddings to report in on the Holy Family project, and Abby's
Abby's
sitting
on the library
committee. Okay. Okay,
Those
so
are-
Dennis, thank you. Does that sort of answer your question, Dennis, in the short term? And Nancy,
Sure.
thank you for raising this, frankly. Abby, anything to report on the library, or?
No, they were slightly behind schedule given the snow and the freezing for pouring the concrete, but they're getting back on track. Everything is going according to plan. There's been some interior modifications that have been made to the catering kitchen space and the second floor of the Haywood Adams house. So that's had some interior modifications. There won't be any exterior modifications to that. It's really just the use of the space and the layout of the rooms upstairs. But yeah, everything is very concerningly going smoothly, which makes me deeply worried.
Really uneasy.
Yeah,
Don't
so
worry.
no, it's moving smoothly. While we're talking Main Street, have we heard back from 85 Main Street Wellness in Motion about their sign? The sign that they put up without an application?
Yes, we sent out the enforcement letter and the new store owner sent a very apologetic letter. It sounds like there was a little bit of a sort of miscommunication or something with the sign maker. And so it got put up and they are going to submit an application.
Great.
Yeah. COVID times. Yeah, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else except I'm just avoiding looking at Melinda right now because that view behind you is killing me. Are you on the Big Island?
I'm on the Big Island, yes. It's beautiful.
How did you get on? Weren't they being strict about people going to Hawaii?
I did have to get a test, of course, called the NAAR. Hawaii has a slightly different test than other places, but I got it, and then I got tested again when I got to the airport here, and I'll be tested again before I leave. But we're all fine, and I'm really glad I risked it. That's all I can say. So, anyways,
please enjoy it. It's nice to see you smiling, and
well, thank
you deserve a break.
Thank you. Thank you.
Way to go.
And I hate that you're there and I'm stuck here. We still have 6 inches of snow on the ground. Nancy, I see you have a question or a comment.
I do. In the spirit of full disclosure, I'm a member of this historical commission, but tonight I'm only speaking for myself. I'm extremely concerned by what I have been seeing at 325 Main Street. I don't know enough about what you all approved or why you approved it, but what I am seeing is the replacement of all the historic windows with Marvin windows. The whole house has been taken down to the sublayer of the house itself in order to provide blue AZEC or whatever it is, not AZEC, but you know what I mean. What I am seeing is absolutely positively not in place replacement in kind. And it only brings me, I have to say to you all that I so admire what you do. I think what you do and what you look at is so difficult. And I'm so happy to hear the owner is willing to listen. But I think the owner didn't hear what he needed to hear early enough. And that brings me to something that I've been talking about for a long time. Peter, I raised it with you a while ago. I think the town commissions that are concerned with historic preservation really need to develop some more functional relationship between the two. I think about Wright's Tavern, I think about the cemetery. There are all kinds of issues that I think we need to really be in communication for. I'd love to have a joint meeting, but that may not be possible right now. But I think 325 Main Street is going to look like a brand new house in the end. And I don't think that's what the owners want. I don't think that is what HDC wants. I think it's a terrible loss. So having said that, I would like this conversation to continue. And Heather, thank you so much. I'm so happy to see your daughter. But it's so frustrating not to be able to talk to you and not to be able to talk to the owner. But I think I've been assigned by the Historical Commission to be your official liaison. So you may be seeing more of me in the future.
Well,
so,
welcome.
Thank you. But I don't know what we can do now because so much has been lost already. And that isn't even beginning to talk about the interior. That house may be one of the most beautifully preserved colonial era structures in the town that I've ever seen. So something to think about, and I'm sorry to bring everybody on a down note, but I do think I do think it's an opportunity for us to look at Concord more holistically and go forward from there. Thank you.
Well, and frankly, I appreciate and thank you and welcome. It'll be nice to see you more often. And frankly, I'd like us to liaise the other way too. And a joint meeting isn't something out of the realm of the realistic.
I feel sorry for the owners too, because we're seeing that in another place where they really don't know. And they really don't know. And I'm trying to think how we might help them understand a little bit more about historic preservation, historic structures. Thank you.
I also think you're raising a good point about structures like the Wright Tavern, because of course that's another entity, the CPC, which gets involved in projects that neither we nor, well, we sometimes are asked to submit letters, but there's a lot of work coming up on that building.
Right.
And that's another one where, especially we want to be careful. So I actually think I think the talking to each other is good because if nothing else, it will raise the coming attractions. And we do encourage, and Dennis will tell you, I think the windows issue comes up on so many projects where these beautiful old windows are taken out and thrown away and replaced with, in kind. And at a certain point, there's really
not in kind.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing we can really do.
And there are alternatives, actually, that are very functional.
Right.
But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. We do make that pitch, and I think it would be good to have you at these meetings so you can reinforce our pleas, frankly.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I thank you for coming. I really do appreciate the better connection between our two commissions and boards, and I think I'd like to try to. I have only been to one of your meetings this year, but I'd like to be at more.
I noticed that.
I try.
Peter,
yes,
since I'm writing this letter, would it be possible to get a copy of what their application was? Heather, could I get a copy of that? I guess,
sure.
Is it online? Can I just get it online or?
No, you'd have to get the approved.
Yeah, if I could get a copy of that in our decision, I hope they made a compelling reason for replacing the siding. I hope it wasn't just we like new siding. I hope there's some reason it was deteriorated and that we agreed with them that it was so bad it couldn't be repaired.
Well, you need the minutes too.
Right.
That's right. You'd need the minutes from the presentation.
I do have the minutes.
Do you have them? Okay, thank you, Nancy.
Great. If I could have those, that would be great. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. I think that was a good discussion. Frankly, I will admit to you, I was a little shocked when I saw the blue building wrap. I forgot that they were going to take the siding off.
Yeah.
And then my second thought was, okay, I'm pretty sure we told them to put it back or put something exactly anyway. So it's like when it's in my face, all of a sudden I realize, oh, wow, right. Right. Oh boy, we approved that.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't taste gluten-free.
One other thing I would ask before you all go, Nancy, you've been party to this too. There's a house going up on the edge of the cemetery.
Right.
It's on the edge of the Monument Street district. It's not in the district.
Right. 18 Windmill Hill Road, I think.
Have we talked about that here or? All right, I just want to mention it informally. It's not in the district.
Right.
But people like me and Nancy are being asked to say, well, what do you think? It's one of those awkward in-between issues. Any news on that, Nancy? I don't know any.
Well, it actually did not involve the historical commission except by the observation, I think, of our chair. It's another example of why town committees and staff should coordinate more carefully on these issues where historical resources are involved. The owners, I think, would have been amenable to developing different solutions had they known more. One thing at issue is 172-foot long stockade fence. We all know that stockades were developed to go around forts and the spikes were to discourage intruders. So there's a stockade fence there that is presumed by some to be likely to fade into the landscape, but it will still remain a wall, 170-foot wall, about 6 feet high or whatever. And then the height of the new structure, which will be built on the top of a hill, which used to be the site of a windmill, the owner has been willing to discuss lowering the height of the building, but still it's 10 feet above the existing house to begin with, which will be partially demolished and shrunk a little bit. And then the new house will be up on the hill overlooking the cemetery. So because it's not in a historic district, I don't think you all ever had a chance to look at it.
No.
So
no.
The cemetery committee might have been a little stronger in their initial review of the fence and subsequently the house. And but I think the owner would have been willing had the owner had better information earlier, perhaps.
Okay, thank you. And I see Melissa, you've arrived. Do you have a question?
Well, I've been observing. I second all that Nancy has said, and also to point out this. I hadn't known about it, nor had the cemetery committee known about it. They are abutters, but they're a committee. They're not an individual property owner. So they didn't know about the project all the months that all the planning had been going on with this house. They were totally unaware of it. Maybe, I think, might have been one of them who might be a friend, but I'm not even sure about that. But the point there is they didn't know this property development was going on. Our commission, the historical commission, will be meeting next week, and I'm going to ask them again as a group, do they want to comment? I have personally commented, I pointed it out to the friends about what was going on because I'm very concerned about the effect of this, the house, the fence. The fence is like the Great Wall of China looming over the historic cemetery, which is a national treasure. This isn't just about Concord and this guy's house, it's our whole country. So I'm going to ask the Historical Commission if they're willing to write a letter to the, maybe it's the cemetery committee, to the town, I'm not sure, probably the cemetery committee, or the ZBA, which actually is making, has to give them a special permit to express our concern. From the homeowners, I understand he's not willing to take the fence down, which to me is totally objectionable, but he is willing to mitigate the impact of it by plantings, which will help. But I think the bigger thing is that projects can happen. This is really what Nancy was talking about before, the idea that we kind of live in our little silos, and would be helpful if one committee knew what the other committee was doing, which is why in the Historical Commission, we've asked every member to take on a role to officially participate as an observer, the various committees that go on in town that may have some impact on an historic resource. So.
Well, thank you, Melissa. I will say it came up in our Jenny Dugan discussions because somebody asked a question in the public meeting. So what's the difference between the Historic Districts Commission and the Historical Commission? And there was this, this beat of silence where everybody kind of went,
I don't know.
Who's responsible for what? So I think you're right. I think, and thank you for your comments. I'm just a little concerned about projects like that because nobody's really, it's like everybody's responsible, so nobody's responsible, or some version of that.
Well, I mean, well, you guys have, you have real power. You know, with Historical Commission has very little power. You know, all we can do is kind of advocate and encourage others to advocate, which is what I am suggesting in this case. You know, I actually would ask all of you members of this HDC to drive by, just drive down Bedford Road, or if you're driving out Bedford Road towards Bedford, look to your left.
Yeah.
And you'll see the fence, and then imagine the height of his house. I think, Nancy, is the post still there?
No, I understand they've taken the
ridge
the architecture down that shows where what the height of the house will be and the breadth and whatnot. So.
All right, Nancy, did you have another comment? I know we're going to try to wrap up soon.
No, I did, but I lost it.
Well, you're
lucky you all.
When you if you think of it, email Dennis.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you all. Any other final thoughts? Didn't mean to keep you all so long, but Heather, it was nice to see the baby.
And thank you all for doing all this. I mean,
Nancy, you're welcome, and thank you for attending our meeting. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I think I would, without further business, I think I'd look for a motion to adjourn. So
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor, just raise your hand.
Aye.
All right. It's a unanimous adjournment. All right. Nice to see you all.
Thank
Heather,
you.
welcome back.
Thank
Welcome back. And we'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Peter.
Good.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks,
very much.
Heather.
Wait.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back.
Nice to see you, Heather.
All right. See you soon.